Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to see you today. My name is Dustin, and welcome to an episode of Howtorockastrology. Today's episode, we're going to be discussing what it's like when you have your natal Venus in the sign of Pisces. Now, I'm a tropical Vedic philosopher. I would consider that I'm really rooted in Western astrology. Tropical means that I use tropical measurements. But the Vedic factor comes from the fact that I've been studying Vedic philosophy and yoga and Vedic astrology for the last 4 years. So I would consider this as me adding extra information to what most Westerners would know about this sign. But I still center myself on a lot of Western consciousness. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my own spiel about Venus exalted in the sign of Pisces. And then from there, we're going to discuss 2 Western books, Stephen Arroyo's Chart Interpretation, as well as Erotic Astrology by Phylis, Vega. Once I kind of go through my spiel about what I think of Venus and Pisces. Venus in Pisces essentially is exalted. This is the best sign that Venus could be in, and it gains power. It gains vitality, and it gains what Venus essentially seeks, which is to be open to the truth of what is in the inspirations of the water Svadhisthana chakra, as well as the heart. And it tends to, Venus in Pisces tends to combine the heart with the consciousness of the Svadhisthana chakra. So that really whenever, it's the only way to really be deeply satisfied in any sexuality, in any erotic way, is to connect your erotic energy, which is natural in us and beautiful in us, with something that is not only erotic to us at the surface level, but it also means something deeply sentimental to us at a deeper emotional level. When we can combine these two, this is when Venus is allowed to express itself at its best. There's a lot to be said about Venus being exalted in Pisces. And I often say that it shows the nature of Venus when, by Venus being exalted in Pisces, it says something about, astrology really conveys information about itself through the placement of planets in their best signs. By Venus being exalted in Pisces, we learn about Venus. Now, I should say that this is only the sign that Venus is in. You always have to consider that there's so much more going on with every planet than just the sign. There's the aspects from friends. This is particularly important in Vedic astrology. If Venus is being aspected by Mercury or by Saturn, these are 2 friends of Venus. Think about the fact that Venus rules an earth and an air sign, Taurus and Libra. Mercury rules Virgo and Gemini, an earth and an air sign. And then Saturn also rules Capricorn and Aquarius, anciently. And that's an earth and an air sign. So when Venus is aspected by its friends, it brings out the best of its energy as well. And that could aid you. But Venus being conjunct or in the same sign as Saturn is not a good thing. Venus being in the same sign as the Sun is not a good thing. If you're Venus in Pisces with the Sun also in Pisces, this is damaging to what's supposed to be the pure nature of this Venus. It applies its pure love in a way where the Sun is getting in the way. It's like a false altruism. Venus in Pisces by itself wants to serve and wants to be appreciated for serving, wants to be appreciated for enjoying unfolding others' complications in their tension, in their mental tension, in their psyche. Venus in Pisces wants to make people feel better, like giving them a kitty to pet, doing something to make everyone around them comfortable. If the Sun is with Venus, then it's going to do that in order to get something out of it, which isn't the true nature of Venus and Pisces. Because the Sun is an enemy to Venus in Vedic astrology. As well, it's a malefic, and it has a combustive nature that makes it desire deeply to have sentiment as a part of its life path. But usually, ideally, the life path is one thing and our sentimental reality is another thing. That's why it's not good when the Sun and Venus are together. They're enemies to each other. The sentimental world bogs down the life path, and the life path makes the sentimental world false and urgent and pushed. One of the great things about Venus and Pisces by itself, even if you have the Sun there, even if it's ill-placed, the Venus in Pisces is ultimately patient and understanding of its own nature. And it looks within for the type of bliss that it seeks, and it wants to be appreciated for looking within itself to find the type of bliss that it seeks. As well, it intrinsically understands that others are also trying to do this. Others are also wanting to be blissful through their own patient nature. This holds a key to how this Venus wants to be appreciated, for listening and anticipating what the other person wants. That's kind of at the personality level. Venus in Pisces can have, so again, what I wanted to say is that most astrologers, especially on YouTube, hopefully, ideally, are trying to get away from this cookbook thing. Venus in Pisces is always going to be this way, because it's not the case. Different varieties of Venus will, extend the nature of Venus in Pisces in different ways to different degrees. But this video is to just talk about what the personality of Venus in Pisces is. By Vedic reckoning, it is the best. Vedic as well as Western reckoning, this is the best sign for Venus. The main thing about Venus being exalted in Pisces is that it is willing to share itself because it understands that love is good. It understands how good it feels to be sentimentally, emotionally involved in the journey of life and not just trying to get to the destination. Yet at the same time, it satisfies itself with the journey so that on its way to the destination is not curtailed by emotional sentiments. You make sure that you get your love in the right way, in a concise way, in a way that is specific to how you want the person, your partner, your potential partner or partners or whatever to be. Think about the fact that, Pisces is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is the primordial planet of self. It is the guru inside of all of us, and it comes from self-joy. So really the placement of Jupiter is going to define another layer of this Venus's capacity to be led by deeper dharmic meaning and purpose in life. Because really Venus is kind of about intimacy. It's not necessarily about marriage. Jupiter is the planet of marriage in Vedic astrology. And Jupiter's placement is going to show whether we have an intrinsic desire to get more meaning out of life than the ephemeral pleasures or evasions of the personality. Getting away from the things we don't like, going towards the things we do like. That's more of a Venus thing. And this channels energy for what we're ultimately doing, which is something that is beyond that. And when you have a good marriage or any real connection with anybody, you want the Venus in the middle, but then Jupiter at the end. You want things to be enjoyable, but ultimately you want that functional relationship to be met at a vision of a future that you seek to live through together. So you can look back on it all and say that you are proud that you did the Jupiter thing and that you enjoyed sharing it with somebody else. Venus in Pisces, therefore, the Jupiter placement is important. And if Jupiter has difficulty, if it's being squashed by enemies, that's in particular, that's Venus and Mercury, if it's afflicted to Venus or Mercury, if it's conjunct Saturn, if it's combusted by the Sun, if it's with the north or south nodes in a very close way, then this Jupiter will be a little bit testy. And this means that it'll be harder for Venus and Pisces to be appreciated for understanding the soul elements of the relationship. Venus in Pisces is psychic. It wants to have a deep idea of its own path in life and wants to share that with its partner so that there is room for forgiveness. There is room for the two of each other to come to an understanding despite any personality differences or complications in the relationship. And this is a beautiful place for Venus to be. Venus heralds, along with the moon, Venus and the moon together rule the Svadhisthana chakra, the second chakra, according to this certain idea of Vedic astrology. It's given by Ernst Wilhelm in his Graha Sutras. The second chakra, the water chakra, is supposed to douse our ambitions so that we have something to look forward to once we're done our ambition, once we're done what we're doing at the end of the day. Venus in Pisces is going to collect people around it to enjoy helping them along their journey, and also to have people who are going to support you on your journey. And it's the fact that you are living for more than just the enjoyment of a relationship that allows you to see above when things get complicated, to see when there are personality differences that you can just accept. This person likes a different type of music that you do. You can accept that and even listen to their music. You provide Venus in Pisces provides just as much space for your music as their music. And your partner will appreciate this, especially if Venus is well placed and if your Jupiter is well placed. Because ultimately, you can be appreciated, you want to be appreciated for your ability to hold the space for what the other partner's wants are. And Venus in Pisces will ultimately find somebody who's kind of close to the same thing, to the same taste in music, to the same taste in food, wanting to go to the same restaurants, wanting to have the same biological circuit and rhythm of lovemaking. You know, you'll find a partner who will give you those things, but at the same time, really, it just so happens that you will find a partner in this way ultimately through the fact that the two of you aren't living for those things. You're not living to enjoy the same music. You're living to do the same life purpose, because that's what Jupiter's all about. In particular, Pisces is the receptive aspect of Jupiter. So it likes to be honest. Piscean placements just like to be straight up honest about things. When Venus is in Pisces, you are honest about what you love, and you are honest about you're honest about these things so that your partner can see what you're communicating and what things are important to you. And you will hold the space for it in a way so that you can make it known what you like without rubbing it in the partner's face. The great thing about Venus being exalted is that your heart is open and you are willing to share yourself with all the people around in a light way so that you can feel the deep soul bond that you get with another person. Because that's Piscean, the receptive side of Jupiter wants to feel comfortable, wants to feel free to say what it wants to say, even whatever its kinky desires are, whatever its difficulties are. This is what any planets in Pisces, especially a benefic planet like Venus in Pisces, is going to encourage you, because Venus gives as much to Pisces as Pisces gives to Venus. By Venus being in Pisces, it's going to encourage honesty about the things that you like and the things that you're actually turned on by. And you'll speak to the people that you're with, and you won't break up with them if they're not receptive to it. You don't break up with someone right away if they aren't in agreement with it, but you will speak to these things. And ultimately, that will be a part of your great path in life. These kinks and these things and these enjoyments that we all have, that we all want. These are a part of our path in life. The journey and the destination kind of meet in this way. And so while you will hold the space for people to say what they want to say, you will also communicate what you want to communicate. And if the person ultimately doesn't reciprocate what you're putting out there, you will eventually just move to the next thing that feels better to your soul, because you're attached. You're not attached to familiarity per se. You're just attached to what ultimately feels good to the soul the whole way through. And so Venus in Pisces has the ability to discern, is this person presenting with me with a relationship problem that is insurmountable? If not, then you will be appreciated for your ability to surmount it and to get through it. But if this person is presenting me with something that they won't fix, that they can't resolve with me, and it means that I'm never going to have this satisfaction that I seek in my life. You know, if this is a person, if your partner, your potential partner is someone who pisses all their energy away in their career or their ambitions, and they don't take the time to give you some sentimental desire and experience of being with you, they come home, you know, you want a partner who comes home from work and does things for you romantically, and you do that for them just to spark that. That's what's beautiful about Venus in Pisces, is that you are a servant, like Venus in Virgo. There's an axis there, but you're a servant of the sentimental things. You serve them little things that show them that you're interested not in just helping them so that they can get their life better, but that's something that you can do too. But you're interested in reminding them the importance of the sentimental aspect of life. And they will reciprocate if they're the right partner for you. And you'll listen if they don't, and if they don't, you kiss it and say goodbye, and you still feel like that was the love that you seek, but it wasn't the person that you wanted to spend the rest of your life with. Venus in Pisces understands that we all can have soulmates with varying degrees. There's not just one twin flame soulmate, in my opinion. You know, I feel like my cats have soulmate kinship with me because they have needs and I have needs, and we've shared our life together and come together to share our life experience. And when my cats go, I kiss them and say goodbye, and I say, thank you so much for sharing your life with me. That was a soulmate moment. And then I'll go and get other cats, because a new batch of cats will still be my soul. If I get entangled with somebody, it means that they are a part of my soul. Venus in Pisces accepts this, gets entangled with people easily and freely, experiences what love is there, understands and accepts objectively where it doesn't work functionally and ultimately does not lead you to what you want in your soul, and then says, thank you for helping me to understand what I'm looking for. That was still love to me. This is still God, the divine, the essence of the universe, speaking to me, teaching me what I actually seek. It's very Jupiterian. You know, Venus coming through Pisces in a receptive way, actually asking the universe, what is it that I seek? This is the instinct and the secret instinct inside of Venus and Pisces that makes Venus and Pisces exalted, is that it asks the universe. It doesn't think egoically that I have an idea of what I want and then choose through things until it finally finds something that functionally works. That's like Venus in Virgo. It has an idea and it dodges things until it fixates on something that it thinks it works, and then it finds out that that person doesn't actually work a lot of the time. They're not going for the Venus in Virgo looks for things on the outside and tries to see if there's something on the inside of the person that matches the outside, and it never does. That's why Venus does bad in Virgo. Venus in Pisces is kind of the opposite. It's open to what's on the outside, and because it's open to the surface connections of beauty and ease within things, it sees many people. And it gets to try the pie before it buys. It has a value. Venus is about mutual benefit. And when you are a lovely person who is open to sharing love with many different people, even dating different people, and ultimately having one lover, you know, whenever that ends up happening, or many lovers, however you got to do it. You do it and you open yourself to it, and you see it as love even when it doesn't work. And that's how you openly allow the universe to have whatever lovers come to you, connect with them in whatever ways that you can. But ultimately, you're not attached to the emotional dimension of love because you get so much of it. You get it from all the people around you. This teaches us how Venus is supposed to be. Venus is one of the arbiters of the Svadhisthana chakra, and you have such an abundance of love because you are so willing and desirous of having more than just what you do from 9 to 5, having a rich sentimental experience, that you think about it, you enjoy it, you give it to all the people around you, they give it back so that you're not thirsty for it. You know, it's like if somebody is in a desert oasis and they're thirsty for water and they find a little bit of water that's covered in mud and you've got to drink the mud in order to get at the water, they're going to do it because they're starving for water. And then they've got a gut full of mud, but at least I've satisfied myself with a bit of water. That's like a metaphor for Venus in Virgo. Venus in Pisces has just intuitively learned how to find succulent water, even from nothing, even from the cactuses in the desert that it can tear open and suck out. And it can be a gross experience, but ultimately they see the importance of it. They'll even plant cactuses and things around that will continue to bring them water, because Venus in Pisces gives it away, and that's why it comes so easily. Not to say in a flirtatious way, because Venus in Pisces is discerning. Venus in Pisces is someone who is willing to give love, but because, again, they get so much of it that they're just discerning about it. They see when it's serving them, and if it is ultimately serving them, even though it's difficult, those difficulties can be part of the enjoyment if they deeply feel that the person is serving what they want to build in the future of a life together with that person. They can go through whatever that person throws at them. They're very loyal. And this is what allows you to have the deepest experience of love, is that there's something transcending the Venus dimension of it, the pure, you know. A lot of people think a perfect relationship is one where there's no problems. Venus in Pisces is happy with problems because this allows them to show their partner that they're willing to get past these problems, to be patient with them, to listen to them, to help them through their problems in order to secure them for this deeper purpose that Venus in Pisces seeks love through. And this teaches us about the nature of Venus. So I wanted to give that little spiel. And now that I've given my little spiel, we are going to discuss what some Western authors have written about this particular love sign combination. Starting with Stephen Arroyo's Chart Interpretation Handbook. Now remember, Stephen Arroyo tells us the sign position of Venus shows us how one expresses affection, feels appreciated, and gives of themselves. These are interpretive guidelines for Venus in Pisces. The person expresses affection sensitively, kindly, compassionately, and sympathetically. They're capable of selfless giving. They're very just nice, soft people, and they're just accepting of everyone's nature. They have a need for a magical and romantic harmony that is deeply felt. And they're not really going to stick to anything until it feels like that deep closeness, like a cute romantic story is emerging between them and the other person. Their desires can be unfocused and vague, and this leaves the person vulnerable to connecting to things and people that are not really best for them. Especially because if they get wrapped up and entangled in a fantasy that this is this perfect person that I've been seeking, it can be difficult for them to, Well, they get into these things. Although ultimately, especially if the Venus and Jupiter are well placed, this is a person who will always get into these things. But again, they kiss it and say thank you to the universe for helping me find what I really want. Ultimately, that's what I would say about that. Although it's important that this Western author, Stephen Arroyo, is telling us that you can be entangled and vulnerable to situations that aren't ideal for you. But at least you still are open to move through them. This is why Venus in Pisces is better than Venus in Virgo. Both of these are looking to be discerning about love. The difference is that Venus in Pisces trusts the universe, and Venus in Virgo instinctively analyzes things before it gives that trust. Venus in Pisces trusts first and analyzes once it's moved into a feeling that feels good. That's the proper way to do it. The social and love urge of Venus in Pisces is colored by romantic idealism. One idealizes loved ones and love itself, considering it to be important. And we attract what we put out. Escapism, evasion, and confusion can undermine the ability to give of self and to receive from others. And lack of discrimination can hamper forming solid relationships that are truly deeply solid. This is why it's recommended that you also have a strong Saturn, and that ultimately, with any placement of any Venus, of any planet, it's good to meditate, see yourself above your compulsions of your mind, your mental tendencies and habit patterns. It's a beautiful thing that Venus in Pisces idealizes love and romance. But if you try to make it connect with someone because you want the result, you're going to miss the means. So this is why, ultimately Venus being placed in Pisces has this open-heartedness and this givingness and this desirousness of true love, of a true bond and connection. This is the greatest place for Venus to be. We have to understand that even within this, there is still need for the application of discernment and conscious awareness. I highly recommend to everybody with any placement, but with this too, because you have the seed of a good Venus. You don't really want to waste it. Meditate, observe your mental tendencies, and observe that you idealize love. Accept it, and be patient. Use your Saturn to give you the patience to move through a relationship in a way, and all the possibilities of love that you have around you, so that you can feel them out, give love to them, serve them, devote yourself to them in those little ways that you do, but not necessarily in worshipful ways, at least until you make the connection with something that you finally feel like is a real fit. You will find somebody who is a real fit if you're patient and open at the same time. Best advice I could give for this person. Feelings of closeness with another person are influenced by soul yearnings and an urge to mingle psychically with the other person. Empathy arises from the ability to identify with the other's feelings. That's where empathy arises, is when you can identify with the other's feelings, when you can see that they've gone through difficult things that you have, and to heal together in this sort of way. The Pisces being ruled by Jupiter, instinctively going out for what feels good at a deep emotional receptive level, at a level of Pisces being the reflection of, the watery reflection of Jupiter, freely, deeply experiencing emotions. This is one of the reasons why Venus in Pisces gets a lot of what it seeks, is because it can fall in love with dour, gloomy moments with another person in situations like that, because there's a bittersweetness to those moments together that they actually love. They can love moody, sad music and heartbreak, and moments and movies of heartbreak, and They can be with another person and experience their heartbreak together with them, and this is something that actually enlivens them. Thing is that like bad moods and bad experiences in love, difficult experiences and heartbreak are cheap. They're out there. They're as cheap as and common as a stone. But Venus in Pisces can squeeze blood from that stone, which like nobody else can. Everyone else, especially Venus being close to Virgo, wants to suck the bone marrow out of something that is good. Venus in Pisces has a magic where it, the hard emotional experiences, they share that with they like to talk about that with others, and everyone's had those experiences, which is why it's easy for Venus and Pisces to have lots of material that through which they can analyze how they would feel sentimentally good with their other person. It's part of Venus and Pisces getting that water Svadhisthana chakra. It gets the water. It connects easily with people on things that everybody can relate with. But only certain people will relate with you in the specific way that you want to relate to them. So you'll just invite psychically for people to go talk about their hard experiences in love and whatever else, and you'll find through that the space of a person who cares and is sentimental in the way that you are. So that was me giving my spiel. Now we're going to talk about Erotic Astrology by Phylis Vega. Stephen Arroyo gives us one Western interpretation. Now this is a little bit more of a low-hanging, love-making, romantic energy when it comes to the planets and the signs. This is Venus in Pisces, the erotic, romantic nature. Venus in Pisces is sensitive, dreamy, and sentimental. Naturally kind and unselfish. You give whatever you deem necessary to help others, but some may take advantage of you, as we've discussed. A highly dependent, or at least emotionally dependent person who spends a lot of time falling in and out of love. You're very much in need of a nurturing partner. I would say dependent means that you cannot have the richest experience of love that you seek without doing it with another person, without blending with another person, which seems daunting. The language here, dependent, isn't quite the word. I would say rather that you are enriched only by sharing your love life with other people. Thing is that that's exactly where you want to be, because that, if you open your heart, you'll say, this is what I need. God is telling me, the divine is telling me that I need to share my life experience with others, and this thirst will cause you to get the water from people and others around you, not just from the mud, It's a good thing that you yearn to connect your journey with others in a sentimentally meaningful way, because this will force you to do it. And then you won't have any gaps in that Svadhisthana chakra. So many people can just skip the water chakra and still live their life getting all these other things, but they'll have a leaky bucket and they won't have vitality as richly as the Venus and Pisces person will, because it's so important to them to share their life with someone meaningful. With your warm, gracious manner, you have little trouble establishing close relationships. But your strong emotions and vivid imagination can sometimes cloud your judgment. What you're seeking is an otherworldly romance that's exceedingly difficult to manifest truly on the material plane. There's something magical, mystical, and ethereal in your approach, and it appeals to others on a deep level. Everybody wants to feel the magical sentiment that you exude without trying. You exude grace and charm, and your imagination makes you a fascinating conversationalist. You prefer to wait for the other person to make the first move. So your ideal lover is the one, in some ways, that takes the initiative, romantically and in all things. But when things don't go well for you in a relationship, Your extreme sensitivity can leave you open to hurt feelings. At times, you push this martyred attitude a little too far. This is especially if Venus is not well placed. You have such a desire to make a relationship good that you expect and anticipate so much that it's going to go well, that when it doesn't go well, it feels like the souls that have entangled each other are forever going to remember the bruise that just happened. Ultimately, these things might happen. My regard is that the Venus in Pisces is well served to feel everything that it wants to feel. And as you move through it, Saturn, everyone gains Saturn through time, because Saturn is time in this way. And Saturn being a friend to Venus shows that if you just keep your heart open, over time, these attributes of being hurt deeply and wanting to be a martyr and say, I've been going through such difficult things in relationship, these things, I would say this Western author is pushing that agenda a little bit. Ultimately, you get enough water from those around you that you're not that thirsty for it, and so that you can just accept what's given in a relationship. And if it doesn't work, it's because it didn't work. It's because it's not it's not what I sought. And that's, again, one of the great things of Venus and Pisces. Take advantage of it. Take advantage of your ability to love. But always remember that Venus is well served by its friend Saturn. Venus is well served to hold the space for those so you can analyze what's happening and digest the feelings of what's happening in a relationship, and wait until you really digest things in this way before you fully give of yourself. And when you do give of yourself, do it fully. And if it doesn't work after that, let it go, because there's always more data coming in on the Saturn end of Venus's adventures in Loveland. That is my personal Vedic take on it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm Howtorockastrology. I'm Dustin Cormier. Let me know what you think in the comments about the way I describe this sign, and keep your eyes peeled because I always got more stuff coming. Thanks so much for watching, folks.